Hello everyone, Mr. Minix. My name, math is my game. I'm taping this for my other class because, well, just because. No, I'd be illin today. Anyway, this is a stats chapter 3 test review. The whole test is right here before you. You'll know exactly what's going to be on it, with the exception of a few items. The first page is worth 15 points. And the very first question, you can imagine, you have to list 3 things and they're a point apiece. List 3 measures of center. List. That just means write them out. What are they called? Not define them, not describe them, not talk about how to compute them, but list 3 measures of center. And there really should be no excuse to miss this. I think everybody in the whole wide world would know this. What's in the middle? The median. The median's the middle of the middle. So what are the other 2 then? The mean, good, and then the m to the isode. M to the isode. There we go. Do you get extra credit if you write m to the isode? It depends what kind of mood I'm in. I know that's not fair. That just sounds so horrible, but I might smile and laugh and award a bonus point or 2. I don't know. Maybe. So let's skip the which is best and why for a second. Let's go to the MOV. What does MOV stand for? Measures of variation. So you're going to be given 2, and honestly I don't remember which 2 you're going to be given, but you're going to be given 2, and you'll have to list the other 2, which kind of implies that there's 4. So what I'm saying is I might tell you, so one measure of variation is the range. And another measure of variation is the variance. So given the range and the variance, could you list 2 more? Well, what are the other ones? What do we got? Standard deviation is one. Good. Standard deviation. And then the other one would be the difference between the quartiles. Interquartile range. If you abbreviated IQR, I'm down with that. Because to be honest, I don't know if it's inter or inter. So if you abbreviated IQR, that's cool. But you might be given IQR. So anyways, you're going to be given 2 and you'll have to list the other 2. Okay? You will be given 2 and you'll have to list the other 2. So I can't remember which 2 you're given, but there's all 4 of them. So we doing okay so far? All right. So that should be 5 easy points, I would hope. So where's the other 10 points come from? Well, the other 10 points come from 5 scenarios, such as the following. 3, 7, 10, 11, 15. Wait, time to be seen at ER in minutes. That might be a scenario, and you'll have to say which measure of center would be the most sensible, and also explain your reasoning or explain why. Does anybody want to take a shot at this one? Remember, sometimes it's easier to say which one it wouldn't be and why. I think in that situation, that I would say which one it's not. If it's not mode, why not? Because there isn't one. Perfect. I like that. That's a terrific answer. Long distance high five. Good. Okay. So if you do that, I'm fine with that. That's great. That tells me that you understand the concepts we talked about in this chapter. So if you just said not mode, because there ain't one, not mode because there ain't one, I would give you full credit on that. I would give you 2 out of 2. Not the mode, because there ain't one. I know that's not great language. That's kind of speaking Warren. But that's certainly good. Warren is an adjective. Warren and Warren like are adjectives. I did not know that, but now I do, and I'm going to use that. Thank you for that information. I'm going to put that to use, to good use. Drink sizes. at Burger King. That's it. That's it. Anybody ever get a small at Burger King? You're like, that's it? Really? That's it? That's not even a pint. That's not even 4 ounces. So there's that size, and then there's a small, and then there's a medium, and then there's a large, and then there's an extra large. Could we even come up with a drink size for that? Could we even come up with an average of that? Maybe there's another large. Maybe there's another large. And maybe there's another extra large. What would have to work here? Yeah, it's mode because it's not numbers. Yeah, the mode because it's not numbers. Okay, so if we're talking about non-numeric data, you got to go with the mode. Let's try another one. Let's try another one. Average bowling score. And this one's kind of interesting. 300. Oh, a 300 game. Yeah, it's possible. 250. And 10. That could happen. Every single time you just gutter it. At Echo Lanes on lane 32, you hit the gutter and it knocks down the 10 pin every time. Because it happens. You throw it right in the gutter and it knocks down the 10 pin. I don't get it, but whatever. So let's calculate these. Well, there's no mode. There's no mode, so it wouldn't be the mode. There's no mode. What would the median's 250, which isn't bad. What's the mean here? Is it 560 divided by 3? 560 divided by 3. Does 3 go into that? So we get, let's see, 1, that's a 3, that's a 2 and a 6, and that's a 7, 8, 24, and a 2 and an 0 and a 6. So we get 186 and change, 186 and 2/3. We have a bowling expert in here. Would we count that? What do we do? We would round down in bowling. So would the median maybe be a better way to do this then? Or do they actually compute the mean? They compute it, but they round down. So it would count as a 186. Okay. Well, I'm glad you knew that because I didn't. Cool. Good. All right. Do we get the idea of those? Okay, so sometimes, remember, numeric data, the mean or the median, if there's outliers, what you want to use if there's outliers? If there's outliers and it's numeric, you don't want to use the mean. Good. Okay. All right, so that's going to be the first page of the test. It's 15 points. Which is best, mean, median, or mode, and why, or which is not best. List 3 measures of center and list 2 measures of variation, and you'll be given 2. So that's the first page. The next page of the test is worth, oh my goodness, 30 points. And there's 6, is there 6 characters? No, there's 12 characters that you're going to have to know what's what. 12 characters. What are you talking about? The mean. So we could talk about the sample. And we could talk about the population. Anybody remember the character for sample mean? X bar. Good. And for the population mean? It is mu. It looks like an M and a U. What about the standard deviation, the sample? S, good. And then the population standard deviation is, it's the little thing, the little O thing. It's lowercase sigma, good. And then when we're talking about the variance, well, if you remember the relationship between the variance and the standard deviation, this is pretty easy. The variance is, the sample variance is S squared, nice. So the population variance is sigma squared. That's not bad. How many? How many? This one's going to get some people. Lowercase n, good for the sample, and then for the other one, it's capital N. All right. On the left is just a regular small n, lowercase n. Well, we got two more. We got the median. The median, and this one confused me, but it is what it is. Do you remember this one? For the sample, it's capital M. Capital M. Good. And then for the population median, it's another Greek letter. Eta. It looks like an N combined with a J, kind of like that. It's the Greek letter eta. And then the deviation, this was a kind of a new one, a tricky one. Hopefully we remember what a deviation is. A deviation is the difference between an item in the set. It's the difference between an item and a set. So it's going to have an x sub I in it either way. And the average. It's a difference between something in the set and the average. So for the sample, it'll be x sub I minus what? Minus x bar. And for the population, it'll be x sub I minus mu. Okay. So there's 12 points right there, just knowing those characters. Ooh. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I guess there's 12. Okay. As promised, you get the definition of median again. Remember, there's 3 key points I'm looking for. I'm just going to list the bulleted points. For the median, one of the things that I'm going to be looking for is the fact that the data should be ordered. So ordered set of numeric data. And then the one that everybody always says about the median, because it's true, it's the middle. And then there's this contingency one, or if n is even, if n is even, then what happens? Good, it's the mean of the middle two, nice. It's the mean of the middle two. So however you want to write that, I would appreciate it if you didn't bullet point it, but those are the 3 key ideas I'm going to be looking for. Data's got to be in order, should be numeric data, so technically there's 4. The median is the middle number, or if n is even, it's the mean of the 2 in the middle. Going all right? So this next question's kind of goofy. This next question says something about Math Excel and Microsoft Excel versus the TI-83 Plus. How do they have the data? So in other words, there's going to be a data set given with an n of 9. Okay, so in other words, there's going to be 9 items in the set. So x sub 1, x sub 2, x sub 3, x sub 4, x sub 5, x sub 6, x sub 7, x sub 8, and x sub 9. There's going to be 9 things given in a set. Maybe the number's negative 86, negative 20, 67, 68, 70, 700, 701, over 9,000. and 10,000. Okay. So I'll be asking you to explain how Math Excel and Microsoft Excel will have the data. Does anybody remember this one? What do we got? Math Excel, what about the middle numbers? You don't include them? You sure about that? So I guess it all comes down to this. Do we or don't we count that middle number? Because let's face it, this 70 is dead smack in the middle, right? So when we have the data, do we count the 70 or don't we? And that's what we got to know. What do we got? Math Excel and Microsoft Excel will include the 70. Okay, so Math Excel, Microsoft Excel, they are going to say that this is the lower half of the data. Similarly, they will say, so this is the lower half. And if they're finding the upper half, then similarly, they will say, okay, so this is the upper half. Oh, that's the upper half. Okay. On the other hand, the TI-83, whoa, where'd those characters come from? That was kind of cool. No idea where they came from, but the TI-83, or the right way, is to say, okay, so the 70's out. Okay, the 70's out. Is everybody cool with that? There's going to be another problem that kind of piggybacks off of that. Okay. So Math Excel counts the middle number. The TI-83 excludes it. Okay. All right. Any questions about that second page of the test? Let's think about this. The first page was worth how many points? Was it 15? Second page is worth 30, so far we're up to 45 points. Third page, list the 5-number summary for a given data set. So you might have something like 3, 5, 7, 8, 12. And you'd have to list the 5-number. Well, I better make it bigger than that. That would be cheating if I just made it that small. 16, 17, 20. Let's do it that way. So let's see. This one goes with this. This goes with this. This goes with this. So we got 8 and 12 in the middle. So remember, 5-number summary, we want the median. We want Q1. We want Q3. We want the min. And we want the max. So, of course, min and max are going to be 3 and 20. What's our median going to be in this one? What, 10? Good. Yeah, because we're looking at the average of these two, so it's going to be 10. And when we halve the data, when we halve it, so we're going to look at that as the lower half. So what's our Q1 going to be in this case? Q1's going to be 6, good. And then the Q3 is going to be 16 and a hizzy. 16 and a hizzy. Okay. Questions? So here's the part where you probably want to go see your favorite tattoo artist tonight. Oh my. These are going to be worth, I think, 5 points each. You're going to have to list the formulas for 4 of the following: population mean, sample mean, population standard deviation, sample standard deviation, population variation, or sample variance. It'll be 4 of those 6. I think there's 6 there. Population mean, there's 1. Sample mean, that's 2. Population standard deviation, that's 3. Sample standard deviation, that's 4. Population variance, that's 5. And sample variation, that's 6. Yeah, so it's going to be 4 of those 6 that you'll have to have the formula. So I guess we'll start with the easy one. Population mean. If you don't say mu, well, it's partly wrong. So mu is the sum from I equals 1 to what? To capital N of the x sub i's divided by the capital N. Okay. Sample mean, x bar, is the sum from I equals 1 to n of the x sub i's divided by n. Little n's there. I remember the other day ago when we kept writing all these formulas on the board, and I said, since we're writing them on the board so many times, don't you expect that you're going to see them on an upcoming test? Well, yeah. Population standard deviation, sigma, is the sum from I equals 1 to n of the x sub I minus mu, the quantity squared, all over n. And then what do we do with that? Anybody remember? Don't we square root that then? So we take the square root of that. Sample standard deviation is a little different. Sample standard deviation, we take the sum from I equals 1 to n of the x sub i's minus the x bars, the quantity squared, all over what? N minus 1, good. And again, that's under square root. Oh my gosh. These are crazy. Well, the good thing is if you understand the relationship between the standard deviation and the variance, it's real easy to do, isn't it? What do we got? If you list all 6, is there potential for bonus? No. But I think there is bonus built into the test, though. I think there is. So let's see this population variance. Population variance is going to be sigma squared equals sum from I equals 1 to capital N of the x sub i's minus mu, the quantity squared, over n. So it's basically the same formula, just without the square root. And so the sample variance would be s squared is the sum from I equals 1 to little n of the x sub i's minus x bar, quantity squared, over n minus 1. That's a lot of crazy Greek characters. All right, so we got these 6 formulas. And so far, let's see, we were up to page 1 was 15, page 2 was 20, so is that, or page 2 was 30, so that's 45. So that's 45. 45 and 20 is what, 55? So we're up to 55 points so far. All right. Huh? Is it 65? I did the same thing the other day ago. I told you I'm not feeling well. Wait till you hear me cough. I hope I get a cough. I'll cough into the microphone so everybody can hear how bad it is. It's really gross. It's really bad. I was a little skeptical about the way I wrote page 4 having 20 points on it, but whatever. So anyway, so find deviation using the table method, and I forgot to put the STD in this. I'm sorry about that. The standard, that's missing. But you will be asked to actually compute the standard deviation, not the deviation, but the standard deviation using the table method. So what I mean by that is you'll actually have to calculate x bar, which is, or mu, whatever, 2 plus 4 plus 9, all over 3. So that's 15 over 3, which is 5. And then with your table, remember you'll go x sub I, x bar, x sub I minus x bar. So what do we got? 2, 4, 9, 5, 5, 5, negative 3, negative 1, 4, 9, 1, 16. Because that's x sub I minus x bar squared. And then what's that last column? The cumulative sum. The cumulative sum. So we get 9, 10, and 26. And that's only part of it because there's still more to do. I'm not sure if it's going to say of the sample or of the population. I guess we could assume that it's for the whole thing. So sigma would be the square root of 26 divided by 3, right? So that would be the square root of, I don't know what that is, 8 2/3. You can approximate it, but that's that. Okay. I'm pretty sure that question's worth 10 points. So how many points are we up to? Are we up to 65? We had 65, so this is 85 then? All right. Yeah. Cool. So let's take, the difference between a parameter and a statistic. What's the difference between a statistic and a parameter? Parameters, statistics. We need a good word that means deals with, is associated with, pertains to, is used in conjunction with. Is there a good word that we can think of that'll signifies? Signifies, I like that. Parameters signify a population. Whereas statistics signify a sample. Okay, so you could use a couple different words there, whatever, but signify, that's a good word, I like that. Parameters pertain to, deal with, are associated with, are used in conjunction with, are oftentimes related to. Is there any other words that we could use to fill that purpose? Represent, represents, all right. Represents, all right. Parameters represent a population. I like that. All right. So I'm pretty sure that one or two of the formulas are going to kind of spill over onto this page. That's because this question I think is only worth like 5 points. So, whoa. So I guess this is it. The last page is worth 25 points. So let's think about it. We were at 85 and another 25. So there are 10 bonus points built into the test. You're welcome. What's the relationship between standard deviation and variance? Well, that's it. That's pretty easy. But it says be clear. And what I say by meaning being clear, don't just say that one's the square root of the other. That's not being clear. Don't just say that one's the square root of the other. Make sure you say which one's the square root of what, or which one's the square of what. Okay. So a sample answer would be the standard deviation. The standard deviation is the what? The square of or the square root of? Somebody said it. Square root is the square root of the variance. Okay. And in this question, if I remember right when I typed it, it might deal with population or it might deal with sample, but either way it's the same relationship, right? So and using sample here is probably a bad idea. Sample answer, sample response. Maybe you'll say that the variance is the standard deviation squared. That's fine to say it like that, okay? But I do want you to be clear. Again, don't just say that one's the square root of the other, because that's being too vague. Okay, that'll only get you about half credit there. CH3TESTREV, show work. The question for the CH3TESTREV is going to say, what percent of the data should lie within 5 standard deviations of the mean. Anybody remember the CH3TESTREV formulae? It's 1 minus 1 over the number of standard deviations, and that's a k. That k didn't look like a k at all. 1 over k squared, right? So in this, our k is going to be 5. So we'll have, and we do need to multiply that by 100 and tack a percent sign at the end, right, to make it a percent. So it'll be 100 times 1 minus 1 over 5 squared percent. So that's 100 times 1 minus 1/25th percent. Now 1/25th, isn't that 4/100ths? So in this particular instance, this would be, I guess it'd be 96%. 96%. Pretty sure. Let me double check that. times 1 minus 1 over 5 squared. Yeah, 96%. There we go. Okay. All right. The final item up for bids is z-scores. Z-scores. And I'm pretty sure on the test tomorrow they will pertain to ACTs. Okay, I'm pretty sure they're going to pertain to ACTs. And you will have to calculate too, and the question will be phrased in a way such that you're going to say, huh, what's that say? I used collegiate level writing to write it. So if you can get past all that, I'm going to have to calculate 2 z-scores. What's the formula for a z-score? Z is the observed value, so x sub I minus the average. We could write it x bar or whatever, and then over the standard deviation, right? Over standard deviation. So you will be given the observed value, you will be given the average, and you will be given the standard deviation for both situations. Okay. So it'll be comparing 2 people's scores. Do we need to calculate one of those just for practice sake? I like gas mileage. I like talking about gas. Anybody in here have a fuel efficient vehicle? What do we got? Oh, the Vibe. Yeah. What do you get? 33. Okay. So the Vibe claims the Pontiac Vibe. They say that it gets 33 miles to the gallon. But the way you drive, you get 30. And the standard deviation would be 1.02. So let's see how we're doing. So we want to quantify the numerator, 30 minus 33. Hey, this is going to give us a negative answer. Is that normal? Yeah, negative answers happen. Divided by 1.02. So that means that you're almost 3 standard deviations below average, which means that you're getting unusually low gas mileage, which means you better check your tires, which means you might have a brake hanging up, which means you might want to get gas somewhere other than Murphy's by Walmart. Anybody try their gas yet? My car gets 24 miles to the gallon, the worst I've ever driven it. I got 16 last week. Don't ever get gas at Murphy's by Walmart. It might be 10 cents cheaper, but it's bad gas. Don't get it. That's my public service announcement. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. So that's it for the test. Hopefully you're all ready. It's 110 points. It will be on tomorrow. No resources, so be sure to study. See ya.